Hi, I'm Manda Stack, intuitive coach and energy clearing specialist. Well, how is it that came to be these things? I'll set the scene for you. Think about my senior high awards night banquet. I was nowhere to be found. I did not attend. I knew that I was going to be one of the award recipients that night. Out of a class of 200 some people, I had been voted most shy. It wasn't even one of the cool awards that would be given out that night, like most likely to succeed or most likely to win the Nobel Peace Prize. So when I learned about a week before the banquet that I had been given this award and would be presented it on stage that night, I decided I wasn't going to attend. I didn't want to walk up in front of everyone and receive what to me felt kind of like a humiliating award. So I decided to stay home and hide out in my bedroom that night. And how ironic is it that most shy didn't even show up to receive her award? So, how is it that I was home hiding in my bedroom on a night that should have been a celebratory occasion with my friends as we were getting ready to graduate? It all started when I was 3 years old, when I received the message that it was better for me to stay quiet, be hidden, not seen, keep behind the scenes. It was about 10 days after I turned 3 years old when I was home one night, and it was literally a dark and stormy night. I have vivid memories of this night where there was thunder and lightning. My grandma was staying with me. My parents were out. I don't know where they were. At the time, I knew something was up, but I didn't know what. And I had this feeling of fear and foreboding. Well, finally, my parents returned home and they walked through the door, brushed off the rain, and in their arms, they carried a squalling newborn baby. They had adopted a son, my brother, and my life turned upside down. I want to share with you some pictures now. I'm going to share my screen. So many of us have to adjust when new siblings arrive in the family, and I get that. It's common. It's a common growth experience for many of us. So yes, the singular focus of my parents was now divided between me and my new brother. However, it wasn't divided in half equally. Andy arrived with some significant health issues and special needs. If you look carefully at this photograph, you can see the top of his head is a little bit bigger and raised up. He was born with hydrocephalus, which is water on the brain, water pressing on all those delicate neurons in his brain. And naturally, my parents were busy not only caring for a newborn, but were dealing with a whole new world of doctors and diagnoses and surgeries. One of his early surgeries was a shunt that was installed to drain some of that water from his brain. So the arrival of Andy was a turning point in our family's life and in my life as well. I went from being the apple of my parents' eye to being lost in the shuffle. There's one picture of me from when I was about 2.5 years old, and I couldn't find it to share in this talk today, but I'll describe it to you. In the photo, I was dancing with my arms out, my head up, smiling, moving, shining, joyful. I love that picture of me. It was all innocence and love, kind of like this one. After Andy arrived, the mood in our home grew more somber, and a message I repeatedly got was to be quiet, tone it down, stop dancing, stop shining. I felt left out. I lost my place in the family. I was confused and upset by the changes. I turned inward and became a wary observer of my family. I really felt like an outsider. That became a familiar feeling over time. When Andy grew older, he needed tutors and special ed, whereas I easily excelled in school. I think my parents, my mom especially, wanted to keep things as level a playing field for Andy as they could, starting in our home. My mom was a powerful advocate for my brother. And whether intentional or not, the message that I internalized had to do with dimming my light and not making him feel bad by looking overly smart or able or intelligent. I'd arrive home from school, excitedly showing my mom some of my artwork that I'd done that day, and her response was restrained. I wondered why she wasn't as thrilled about my creation as I was. And this type of thing happened often enough that over time I shrank, I withdrew, I stopped getting excited about my creativity. I withdrew and grew quiet, not only in my family, but also among my friends and at school. Sometimes that dancing, joyful little girl would pop up and express herself, but then she'd retreat more and more. It was confusing because here I was with so much light and love to give, so much creativity and joy. I didn't understand why I wasn't received with open enthusiasm, encouragement, and love. What was wrong with me? I wasn't sure. So I did the only thing I knew to do at the time. I pulled inward and I turned quiet and shy. For many of us, we adjust to our family dynamics to ensure that our most fundamental needs are met. We do what we can to learn the unspoken family rules so we can fit in. As children, especially up until the age of 7, the foundations for these patterns and beliefs are laid as we interpret and internalize how we should behave to meet the norms of our family in order to belong. In one way or another, almost all of us have these messages, these types of messages operating in the backgrounds of our lives. And we aren't often aware of how much these beliefs actually run the show. I know I wasn't aware. These old patterns cause us to dim our light, not want to share our creations and expressions, and shrink from connecting with others, to put others' opinions before our own, or to skip our senior banquet rather than accept an award on stage in front of everyone for being most shy. So my fears came true that senior awards night in a pretty big way. I felt like I didn't belong with my classmates. Other people had definite opinions and judgments about me that felt negative and confining and hurtful. And I questioned my worth. Staying hidden and small was a role I came to play in my family so that I would belong. But it also became my default way of relating to other people. Over time, it became a self-perpetuating limiting belief and kept showing up in my life and prevented me from fully showing up as myself in the world. I'm sharing this story with you today as an example of how the tracks get laid early on for all of us. They might show up in different reasons and for different reasons and in different expressions for a variety of people, but the patterns are hidden in plain sight for most of us. Oftentimes, things show up to mirror our most vulnerable places, such as being voted most shy. One of my mentors, Julie, says that everything comes to instruct, not destruct. The painful episodes of our lives may not feel like it at the time, but they have so much to teach us if we're willing to get curious. And that's what I did. I got curious about my senior awards night later on down the road. And I got curious about other growth experiences I was having along the way as I grew older. And they kept pointing back to a hurting child who only wanted to love and be loved in the fullest way possible. My life has been a journey for sure of transformation and expansion. Now I love working with clients and leading groups to reset their energy and clear the old limiting patterns and free them up for lives of freedom and confidence and joy. It goes back to that dancing girl, the original apple of her parents' eye and of God's eye. She loves to connect with people, loves to laugh and dance and play and sing. She was a bright, shining light, and she still lives inside of me. I reclaimed her. She and I became good friends. I welcomed her back in all her splendor into my life, and she's an amazing guide. She's quite a source of inspiration for adult me. She's a powerhouse. And you know what? She's highly intuitive. She can read a room in a minute. She gets deep insights about people. She wants to join hands with other people and go on an adventure together, exploring the world and all the possibilities. Once I consciously invited her back into my life, those old, tired beliefs and internalized messages started falling away. I started reordering and reclaiming the truth of who I am. I know that I am divinely created, worthy, and that I have so much love to give and so much light to shine. When I reconnected with the dancing little girl inside me, my intuitive abilities blossomed. I got clarity on what I truly desired in my life, which was to be an intuitive coach and work with people and support them to get free of what no longer served them. When I reconnected with my pure, wise inner being of light, my life expanded in ways I never could have imagined. This is possible for all of us. So let me ask you, who is your dancing little girl? What gifts does she have for you? We can claim our gifts fully and all of our worthiness. And when we do that, it gives other people permission to shine as well. Your healing and well-being is a spark of light that ripples out into the world. When I work with people, my intuitive antenna is up and I'm able to perceive patterns that my clients may not be able to see themselves. It's a wide, beautiful world out there, and I want them to experience it. With awareness comes new possibility. We honor the past that brought us to the present and embrace a future that's more and more aligned with our most joyful, genuine, powerful selves. So I have to admit that I'm still not really thrilled that I am forever immortalized in my 1988 Cedarburg High School yearbook as most shy. But I understand that that's not the whole story. Just like it's not the whole story for any of us who have been given labels or been judged in ways that maybe we've been carrying for longer than we should. So I wonder if it's time for you, after hearing my story, to release some of those old patterns that no longer fit you. So who is your dancing little girl? What does she have to say? Are you ready to fully reclaim who you were truly meant to be in this world? I'm Manda Stack. intuitive coach, energy clearing specialist, and joyful, wise, intuitive, dancing, happy, connected little girl. And I'd love to learn more about you and invite you to stop by my website and see how I might support you. Please visit me at mydivineintuition.com. Thank you.